you literally will not be able to go into the gym until you use this device. Every day, I talk to somebody new that uses the device and I learn something new.
I tell you what, if you get something like this for feet, man.
Oh yeah.
That might be the next big thing.
Boom, 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 bop, bam. The type of shit I'm on, you wouldn't understand.
You were paralyzed for almost 6 months, right?
Yeah, I wouldn't say complete paralysis, but I had, the whole left side of my body went numb because of an impingement in the C5, C6 disc. And so then from there, I was just having to look for different things that I could do while I was just pretty much having to lay horizontal in bed. And then I was able to start, slowly getting my grip strength with just using like a tennis ball and just like, a sock to get started. And then after that, I ordered a device like this off Amazon, but it was kind of a cheap device. It really didn't feel that good. And I said to myself, man, if I could do something with a higher quality coil, higher density foam, and actually make it feel good, this is something that I think, a lot of people would enjoy using. And truthfully, for any fitness fanatic, this is something that you have to have in your arsenal. It may feel a little uncomfortable at first, because if you've never trained forearms, or you've never trained like really high rep, but I'll tell you, over time, you literally will not be able to go into the gym until you use this device.
Well, and you see this stuff out there now, like the grip that's been around since I was a kid. This is a lot more comfortable than that. And I think from what I can tell, it doesn't matter your overall strength, right? Like the grip strength thing, if you weren't strong enough to close it, it did absolutely nothing for you.
Right. No.
Versus this, like with little or no strength in your forearms, you're going to be able to move that, flex that, and be able to get that work.
Sure. And I'll tell you, as they even say that, grip strength is an indicator of mortality. So, as you lose grip strength, everything goes, goes to shit. But with this as well, you have this middle coil that you can move this up and down, so that adjusts the level of tension. So for a beginner, for, let's say an elderly person, all the way to an advanced power lifter, you can adjust the level of tension. And so that's where, you kind of just lock in to where what feels good. And then it's one of those things, like, I really don't even count reps. Some people will say, it's one of those, like, if we're here, shooting the shit, I'll just, keep doing this until, okay, now you start to feel that soreness. You start to feel that sort of that burning sensation, because calves, abs, and forearms are all comprised of the same type of tissue that respond to high rep training. And so since we value our time, as you'd mentioned, going into the gym, do I want to spend 15 minutes of my valuable gym time training forearms? No, man, I'm training chest, I'm training back, I'm training biceps. You want to train the bigger body parts. So that's where this is something that if you have the discipline, you keep it with you in your briefcase, in your car. If you're working from home, there's no reason that you shouldn't be doing this for 30 to 60 minutes a day. So then it kind of keeps you neurally, tuned up, helps to enhance that mind-muscle connection. So I was at another friend of mine. He had a podcast this morning, Clark Bartram, who talks primarily to like men over 50, that he's really trying to get them, back on track from, setbacks and injuries. And so even coming off an injury, this is something that you're able to train around the injury, because if you're having a sore shoulder, sore elbow, by strengthening this forearm, you really do feel that, wow, when my grip strength is better and I can lock my forearms in, it allows you to handle pain more. And then from a cosmetic standpoint, with bodybuilding, it's a little bit different, because people want to look lean. They want to look vascular. So the only way to really get your forearms super vascular is by doing high rep training.
Sure.
And obviously, of course, having fairly low body fat. But so from that standpoint, a number of the competitors will keep this with them when they're backstage to enhance that pump.
I was going to say, it's a great way just to get a little extra pump before you get out there. For sure.
No, totally.
Yeah, and I didn't even realize that it was adjustable like that. That does make it even more unique, because, like you said, coming back from an injury, if you had a broken wrist, right? Yeah. None of the things that the doctors recommend for physical therapy are fun.
Yeah.
But this is something where you could get in there, get that wrist flexibility worked out on, and it doesn't matter if, you're weak or if you're strong. The ability to adjust this is going to allow you to kind of make it for you, and then grow into something more without having to go and invest in more plates or more pieces or more anything else. So where can they find this right here?
This is available at pavlikperformance.com.
Okay.
And also at forearmsfirst.com.
I like Forearms First.
So
okay.
Forearms First. And, sometimes having been in this, the fitness industry so long, sometimes you get a little bored and you want to change the conversation. And, there's plenty of ways to train chest and biceps. And, I just think, when you look at training forearms first, anybody that does the 30-day challenge of doing this for 30 days prior to your workout, you're going to say, you know what? I'm getting a better mind-muscle connection. I'm actually having better chest workouts, better back workouts, better arm workouts, because I'm now having a stronger foundation by activating the forearm. So forearms first is sort of the mantra in 2025.
Yeah, I like it. So make sure you guys check that out. I can tell you right now, there's a little area in our gym where we all sit and kind of BS for a little bit before. And I guarantee you within a month, I'm going to see like 4 or 5 guys all sitting there just talking and working this, because it's a great way to get kind of that pump going and get started. So appreciate you bringing that on. Definitely make sure you share that, because I think that's one of those things that you talked about before the workout before the workout.
Yeah.
And anything that you could do to kind of just even get you in that mode, whether, like I said, you're sitting in the sauna or you're on your way to the gym, just to get that blood flowing, like you said, that muscle-mind connection, and kind of get you in that mode, like I'm going to work out.
Right.
Once the blood gets flowing, I don't care what part of body it is, like then you're ready to go, right? And that's what a lot of people are taking pre-workouts that we talked about, and all that stuff for, and caffeine. So getting that blood flow in a minimal way that you can do anywhere.
You just discovered something I never thought of it, because every day I talk to somebody new that uses the device, and I learn something new, or I learn a new angle of how to pitch it and how to sell it. Even like you were mentioning, your wife is a hairdresser, right? And I had just about a week ago, I had a friend of mine that was a hairdresser, and she's like saying, "Wow, this is really helping me because I'm spending the whole day standing up and I've got these elbow pain." But when I think of this as a motivational tool, it actually is true that we all have those days when we're sitting there trying to get motivated to go to the gym, right? Maybe drinking some caffeine, drinking a pre-workout, still not feeling motivated. You're still not able to get your ass up out of the chair or off the couch. But once you're able to activate some muscle and make some level of mind-muscle connection, all of a sudden it awakens something. Hey, you know what? Now I can get into the gym and go. So that's where I think, people that are really into training and really into fitness, there's a lot of like high-tech gadgets that are out there, but like this is as old school as it gets, because we remember the old school power bars that the strongmen used to do back in the day. This is kind of based off that same principle, but on a smaller scale to then target, simply the forearms.
I tell you what, if you get something like this for feet, man.
Oh, yeah.
That might be the next big thing. If you could get something where you could do that with your calves.
Oh, right.
Somehow lock that up or something, because that's another aspect of, I look at it once again from sitting in the office all day. Anytime that I could do something to work something, you talk about nobody wants to work calves.
Yeah.
But that's an awesome product, and I'm glad you brought that along for us.
No, thank you. I really appreciate that.
And what else you got with us?
Well, I'll tell you, I got a couple other, like I was telling the group, I think we got over 100 competitors here today. And when Mike did the introduction, I was saying the products that I brought here today are things specifically to help the competitor. Doesn't mean that it's not going to help a wide variety of other people, but one of the things, and people I have seen historically have self-sabotaged themselves with diuretic use or water loss practices getting ready for a show.
Yeah.
So you could have all of your dieting on point, training on point, meals on point, and then the final 3 days you're thinking, well, should I use a diuretic, whether it's a prescription diuretic, an over-the-counter diuretic, or do I go into a sauna? Do I try to, sweat the last little bit of water out? I mean, what we don't understand is that our muscles are, 70% water. So often if you go into a sauna, if you don't follow the right practices and the right duration, you're going to lose a lot of intramuscular water versus the subcutaneous water. So from a bodybuilding standpoint, when we're talking about losing water, we're talking about losing subcutaneous water, because we want intramuscular water. You
want the muscles to be full.
You want the muscles full. And that's where a lot of people will screw up, because they'll use a diuretic, they'll go into a sauna, they'll come out and be like, oh my gosh, I look worse than before I went in.
Yeah.
Which is really crazy how bodybuilding is so like, you have to be obsessed with it and be almost OCD in monitoring all these small things.
The science of it is ridiculous. And it's gotten better, right, over time. You think about how Arnold competed back in the day with none of the tools that we have to ourselves now. But the science of it is, you're right. We had a couple of guys on where they're like, dude, I've had to eat 5 guys the night before a competition in order to get my muscles to look right. Talk about losing water weight versus the right way versus the wrong way. Well, everybody's body's different, obviously. But you're right. You can lose the water weight in a way that you do look worse. Your muscles look dehydrated. They look unhealthy, and it kind of gives you almost a saggy look, you know?
Right.
So how does this work?
So basically, this is a natural herbal water loss agent. Okay. So it's called Be Lean, and this is under a brand called Be Ready, which is another company that we have under the umbrella.
Okay.
And so essentially, with Be Lean, it's a safe, slow, sustainable way of losing water. So this isn't something that you're going to do 2 days out. You're going to start 7 days out.
Okay.
And you're going to slowly and gradually lose water without disrupting your electrolyte balance in the muscle.
Okay.
So the key with optimally getting your body in that peak condition when you step on stage is maintaining high level of intramuscular fullness, high level of electrolytes in the muscle while losing the subcutaneous water. So that's how a product like Be Lean, natural, slow, gradual water loss agent in conjunction with the Metaboderm is a great 1-2 punch. So you kind of got that internal and external approach to give your body that shrink wrap look that's going to, win on stage. And, most people do it. Some people do it to compete. I mean, I always did everything to win, so I try to be as meticulous as possible.
Of course. Now, we mentioned a couple of different websites. Is there somewhere where you kind of united these things together where somebody can kind of look at all the different products that you're a part of, developed, and things like
yes.
that? I want to make sure we get that out there.
As a matter of fact, pavlikperformance.com is the site. We just launched it earlier this year. We're continuing to make, updates daily and refine that platform. But that's really going to be where if you want to find me and people want to learn about, the products that I've developed or have been, part of in an organization in their research and development that I feel are best in class, Pavlik Performance is where you're going to find it. Metaboderm's there, the Be Ready line is there, awesome. And FlexMaster's there, and then a few other cool brands that I've had an opportunity to work with and be part of.
Well, I appreciate you sitting down and talking with us and sharing some of that.
No,
they can find you on social media, Instagram?
Social media, yeah, Joe Pavlik, JoePavlik on Instagram, Joe Pavlik on X, and Joe Pavlik Performance on YouTube as well.
Awesome. So make sure you guys check them out. We'll try to put the descriptions in the actual final interview, but we appreciate you being a guest. I look forward to having you on the actual full podcast in Medina. We'll have you come into the studio and,
Yeah.
One of the things that is really big, especially for myself being 42 years old, is any way that we can maximize our bodies and keep them healthy as long as possible, right?
Sure.
It's not just living as long as I can. I want to be able to run. I want to be able to jump. I want to be able to be athletic and do things, go hunt, whatever it is, long into my 60s, 70s, and even 80s. I don't want to look at it as like I'm 85 or I'm 90 years old, but I'm sitting in a couch all day and I can't function, right?
Yeah.
So it's interesting, all the different things that have really come out in science over the last couple of years and the different ways that are out there to do that. And, something like this shows like, hey, look, you're 80 years old. You don't have to go to the gym and pump iron. You don't try to deadlift 400 pounds anymore.
Right.
But you can be doing some things that, you can do in a limited function to at least keep you up, motivated, outdoors, things like that. And it's good to see that you're bringing some products to the table to do that.
Yeah, look forward to coming down to Medina, and we'll have to nail down some controversial topics and really dive in. I know you're known for pushing the envelope, no holds barred. Because there are a lot of areas right now with biohacking and just anti-aging practices in general, HRT, medical weight loss. I mean, there's so much that people and consumers have to make a decision at what level they're gonna go. Are you gonna do HRT? Are you gonna take any other types of these therapies? So there's a lot that we're going to have to cover to educate your listeners.
Yeah. And it's funny you bring that up too, and we'll talk about it more on the show, but it's even hard, like as great as it is, there's all this information out there right now. It's also hard to find who do you trust for the information.
Completely.
Because is it the guy who's got 10 million followers, or is it the guy that's got 200 followers, but does his research before he shares anything that he does and stuff. So it'll be definitely interesting to tackle some of those topics. I look forward to having you on, man. Thanks.
All right,
again.
pleasure. Thank you so much.
All right, guys, make sure you check it out. Joe Pavlik Performance, correct, on YouTube.
Yep.
Joe Pavlik on Instagram. And make sure you check out pavlikperformance.com for some of the products that he's pitched today. We appreciate him being on. I'm going to go off for a little bit here, guys. You guys will get a chance to see the cleaning models kind of practicing a little bit.